What's up, Legion? This is Zapf here with you with a very special episode of I Still Call It a Lariat. It has finally happened. We have finally made it. I want to thank you, Legion. You have helped us to become international. This is going to be the first fully international review that we do. We are going to review Progress, the UK promotion, and their Stay Humble event that happened this past weekend. I was really excited to watch this, and I can't wait to share some of the stuff that happened in this. This happened in Camden in the UK at their Electric Ballroom. They've run there. I believe they're coming up on 100 shows at that location. It was a really exciting show, really, really different. I love the look of the building. I loved everything that they were doing there. For those of you who are unaware of Progress, this is places where Finn Balor, Tyler Bate, Pete Dunne, Trent Seven, Will Ospreay, a lot of them have all cut their teeth there at some point or another. Gunther started off there. It is a huge United Kingdom promotion, and I'm so excited to be working and reviewing their product. So let's get into it a little bit. So this show opened. First match is Tate Mayfair's versus Adam Maxted. This is a normal singles match. It was really cool. This was a good heart versus size matchup. Tate is much more a smaller competitor. He offers you good movement. This was great storytelling in this. Maxted has an amazing look about him. He's chiseled out of granite, all tatted up, and he has a certain look about him where he kind of looks like he actually doesn't like people. So it was cool to watch that because he actually has this disdain that he looks like he knows he's better than people. Tate Mayfair has a ton of charisma. The fans are fully behind him. That was another thing with this show. The UK fans that were there, man, were they hot. They wanted to be a part of the show, and I appreciate that. I will say this: I am going to do my job. I am still going to critique it. I'm not just going to blow smoke. Alex Masted, or at the end of the match, Tate Mayfair pulls off the win, and Alex Masted, to retaliate, hits him with a chair. I'm not saying he actually needs to hit Tate with the chair harder, but he needs to make it look like he's hitting Tate with the chair harder than he did. It looked like there was no real wind up to it. So it was, like I said, it was a real interesting start. It was a nice back and forth. It was very cool to watch everything that was happening with this, though. And again, this is my first foray into watching Progress as well. I've seen some stuff way back when that wasn't really match stuff. It was just vignettes and things like that. So it's really cool to get to watch and review this product. The second match on this card is going to be Charles Crawley versus Simon Miller. Now, I know Simon Miller from all of the stuff that he's done with What Culture and some of the other things that he's done on YouTube. Crawley has incredible showmanship, this amazing presence about him. And I know he's technically supposed to be, I guess, the heel in this situation, but the people want to cheer him, and not in the same type of sense as when Showtime and I will talk a lot of times about the crowd has gone heel. Crawley just makes you want to cheer for him. I liken it very much to early day Dean Ambrose, where you didn't know why you wanted to cheer for him, but you definitely did. This guy's really entertaining. Charles Crawley is so cool. He has a great gimmick that he brings out with his demented circus look that he's got. It's funny because both these guys are fighting to become the number one contender for their Proteus title, I believe it is called, the Proteus title. And the owner of that title, the current champion, is Paul Walter Hauser from Cobra Kai. He's the mole man in Fantastic Four First Steps. He's a huge star, but he's also a wrestling guy, and he has been forever. And he trained and became the Proteus champion for Progress. So he's kind of like their Logan Paul, but much more likable in real life. Crawley has a ton of potential. I do think that occasionally he goes a little bit overboard in his matches, and he needs to just rein it in just a little. Just only a little bit though. He definitely does things to get a crowd reaction, and sometimes the reaction he's looking for is not the reaction that should be happening at that match, at that moment in the match. Simon Miller is a beast. He was a complete powerhouse during this match. It was a lot. It's funny because both matches that opened up the card were very much the powerhouse versus kind of the wiry guy, wiry, if you will. The match is very smash mouth in such a great way. It's a lot of hard hitting lariats. It's a lot of big power moves and just really, really hard hitting matches, which I'm here for. If you're going to eat, they did really good stuff on this show with both technician stuff and also with the hard hitting, as they call it, the British strong style, which is where that term was originated, was with Progress. That was Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate and Trent Seven were the originators of British strong style, as they like to call it. And I'll tell you, man, Simon Miller and Charles Crawley really, really brought it. The match ends up getting thrown out because Bullet comes out and just beats the ever-loving crap out of both of them. So Bullet has now laid his claim to, I believe, the Proteus title as well. I believe the Proteus title is essentially their Intercontinental U.S. International Secondary Championship, their mid-card title. It's really cool to see that three guys made the title feel that important, though. And this guy Bullet, he's built kind of. It's funny because he's named Bullet, but he's definitely built like a cannonball. He's just a big, stocky beast of a man that did some really cool athletic stuff when he went in there. So they are setting up obviously more stuff between Charles Crawley, Simon Miller, and now Bullet, leading into whatever comes about of this Proteus title, and obviously the working with Paul Walter Hauser. Again, I'm really excited to see where this stuff goes. All these matches that I'm going to talk about, they all also made sense, and I really like that they didn't stray too far from what basically most of these guys played the hands that they were dealt. So that was very cool. I do apologize if I'm going a little quicker through this, as I am working by myself. So I just wanted to get that one out there for you guys. But the next match is for their Atlas title. This title is almost like the anti-cruiserweight title. You're only allowed to compete for this match or for this title if you're above 205 pounds, which I thought was really cool. This is a purely heavyweight title. And I like that. I like that it's almost a different take on the cruiserweight title. Now it's the Atlas title, and as Hound likes to say, big man meets slapping. That was what was going on, and they say it in this show a lot for this one. This match is Mike D. Vecchio versus Axel Tischer, who was formerly in NXT and WWE. He was in NXT and WWE as Alexander Wolf with the group Sanity. This was a really, really cool match. This was a tables match for this Atlas title. And Mike D. Vecchio is an absolute specimen. He's a beast. And Axel Tischer shows a lot of viciousness during this match. One of the things that I love about this match, it's a tables match, and they made the table feel important. I like that because they're supposed to be bigger guys. They visibly show you, and also the commentators pointed out that the tables had to be reinforced. That's a big deal as far as I'm concerned, is to show things like that. But also, the only weapons that were used in this match were the tables. The tables were the prime focus, and it made it feel like the table was that much more dangerous and that it was that much more final, that when you went through the table, like nothing else was going to happen after that. Like no one was going to jump up. There wasn't going to be an accidental table throw through or anything like that. It felt as though once one of these guys went through the table, it was going to really, really take them out. And I appreciate that aspect of it. I like the fact that, like I said, that they reinforced the table. My only critique for the match, realistically, is that Axel seemed a little too nonchalant during the match. I get that he's the real veteran in this case, but he seemed a little bit too easygoing and a little bit too, like I said, nonchalant. Like he liked to joke around a little bit too much for the magnitude of what this match was and the danger that this match had accrued. I like that during the match they keep teasing the table. They're always right by the table. The table isn't just set up somewhere and then forgotten about. They tease the table and they tease the table and they tease the table. And then finally, when they bring the table back into play for the final sequence, it makes sense again, because they had already gotten they'd gotten two tables, and they made sure that they are put together, but they've never forgotten the original table that they brought out, and it wasn't just set up there for no reason whatsoever. So I really like what they do with the psychology of this match. This match made complete and utter sense to me. I love the ending with Mike D hitting a super power bomb through the table for the setup or for the win. And the crowd goes nuts. The crowd is absolutely hot, and they love this guy, Mike D. He looks amazing. I can't imagine that one of the major promotions here in the US, or maybe even over in Japan, are not looking at this kid. He's a true heavyweight with absolute athleticism. He was doing standing moonsaults. He was doing springboard DDTs or springboard tornado DDTs, and he's still probably 6'3" and up near that 240, 250 mark, it looked like. So he's a big, big dude, and I can't wait to see more of him. I'm looking to see where they go with what the next step is for the Atlas title and him holding it. It was like I said, I can't speak highly enough about how excited I am about getting to watch this new promotion for me. The next match on this card is a gentleman named Charlie Sterling versus Cara Noir. I'm sorry. And Cara Noir is one of their biggest stars. He's a former Progress heavyweight champion. They say constantly during this match that he shouldered this company for several years. And Charlie Sterling is a young up and coming heel. He has a great look about him. He's got a great body, a great look. He does fantastic work in this ring. Cara Noir, the Royal Black Swan, is extremely interesting, though. I don't know if the gimmick, that precise gimmick of him being a male ballerina and the way it looked would transfer over to the US as well. But I will say this felt very much like a UK version of what Goldust was originally. And I mean that with the highest praise, because this guy, Cara Noir, did amazing work in that ring. Sterling has a star look. The match was super interesting. I really, really like, there's a point in the match where Cara does, they call it the blackout or the black swan blackout sleeper hold, basically. And he's got it on him. And when he goes to jump onto him to put it on, he does it off the second turnbuckle. And when he does it, Charlie Sterling gets pushed and falls. So Cara Noir takes the face, goes face first into the middle turnbuckle all the way on the other side of the ring. But it was so smooth, and how he did it was so perfect. It was the perfect way for Charlie Sterling to get the upper hand at that exact moment. And man, like, they kind of did a finish the same exact way, where Sterling had already injured Cara's ankle. He wrestles barefoot, so he had wrestled. He went to put the sleeper back on him, the sleeper, in case you couldn't see it. And when he went to do that, and he went to lock the hooks in on him, Charlie Sterling grabbed his bad ankle and yanked it up and caused him to loosen it up, and then ran and made him face bump into the turnbuckle again, and then hit him with his finish. Gets the 1, 2, 3. And this win for Charlie Sterling completely sucked the air out of the room at the Electric Ballroom. Everyone, I don't know if anyone thought that Cara Noir was going to lose this match. This is a big deal. Even just me watching it for the first time, I can tell that this was a big deal, because these guys, Charlie is on the up, and from what the commentators are saying, Noir is on the down. And afterwards, there was obviously the heel, Charlie Sterling, that he is bragging and showing off. And then Cara Noir, after the match, refuses help to get into the back, looks very frustrated, distraught, just can't tell whether or not what the next step is. And I feel like that's usually the first step of changing a gimmick in some way, shape, or form. I'm excited to see where they go with this. This guy looked super interesting. Had the way they did his face makeup and everything looked awesome. And I'm excited to continue covering this promotion, if nothing else, just to see what they do with this guy, Cara Noir. Because, like I said, I don't want to sound like the ignorant American, but I had never seen him before, and both him and Sterling were extremely, extremely good at what they were doing. Funny story, they actually did go to a intermission during the show, but one of the first matches on the way back was we got Session Moth Martina, who I have actually heard of, and it was supposed to originally be her versus Lana Austin with Holly Barlow. And the storyline with Holly and Lana is very, I don't want to say it's similar to like a Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss storyline, but Holly is a fangirl. I want to say this harkens a little bit back more towards Mickie James being the fangirl of Trish Stratus. But Holly is the fangirl and wants to be best friends with Lana, so much so that she's created the hashtag Lolly, Lollie, and is just peddling that. This match was it turned into Session Moth Martina versus Holly Barlow instead. The match was pretty short. It probably should, because it should be. Session wins the match. I'm sorry, Martina wins the match. And truthfully, more of the story was about Holly and Lana than anything else. And that's where it should have been. I agree with this idea of Holly getting thrown under the bus. And I'm sure at some point we're either going to get them as friends, or we're going to get Holly growing a backbone and realizing that she's being used, or abused at least. There's not much more to report on that match. So the next thing that you end up getting is a face-off between the Progress World Champion Luke Jacobs and Man Like Doris. Man Like Doris is the current #1 contender after winning the Strong Style tournament. We find out that the world title match is going to happen on August 25th, and it's going to be a TLC match. After just watching that last table match, I'm actually really excited to see this TLC match. I'm actually excited for the entirety of the show on August 25th already. I know that they've already announced that that's going to be the next time that Paul Walter Hauser is there. But during this face-off, they're trading their words back and forth. They're giving the back and forth promo, and Doris ends up getting jumped by Luke and Ethan Allen, and they leave him laying. They hit him with a really cool variation of a pile driver and just leave him out. I would critique Doris in only two ways, and that was, I would have had him laying there a bit longer, or after he took that beating, I would have had someone carry him out back to the locker room, rather than him walking out on his own accord, or have them start to carry him out and he pushed them away and he walks out on his, like, I'm going to do this on my own. I'm a man. I'm the hero. The other thing is, Doris, if you're listening to me, man, you got to stop bringing your phone to the ring unless it's part of the angle, because that was distracting when I saw you put it back in your pocket. Being a guy that's been in the business, I look for stuff like that, and that was, you got to leave it in your bag, bro. Sorry. Outside of that, the angle was really cool. Again, like I said, the pile driver, the double team pile driver variation that they hit him with was really cool. I'm excited to watch what these two guys bring it, since they're supposed to be the top of the food chain here, and the rest of this show was already really good. So let's see where we go with that. Final match, we get our main event of the night, our main event, and that is Kanji versus Rain Leverkusen versus Rio, not Riho from AEW. This is Riho is their Progress Women's World Champion. All three of these ladies were not lacking in athletic ability. I was super excited going into this match. I had never seen any of them, and I wanted to see what the top of their women's division looked like. And I got to tell you, this match did not disappoint. I know a lot of times on this show, we critique sometimes when the wrestling is a little bit too choreographed. In this case, I'm going to give a bit of a pass on it feeling a little bit too stagey, because at least everyone was involved in the opening salvo of this match for about a good solid 5 to 10 minutes. Everyone was still involved, and if they weren't out on the floor selling off of one punch for 10 minutes. There was not as much Jamokin in this match as you would expect in a normal three-way. normally if someone was left out on the side or left out of the match, they had just gotten hit with a major move, which is the exact opposite of Jamokin. You should be left out of the match at this point. Rain shows great presence during this match. Rain Leverkusen, she really does. She's got star written all over him, and all over her, and the fans want to love her. I think they made the right choice at the end of this match. That though she took the pin, I think that it's just not her time to get there yet. I'm really excited to see where they keep going with this. The end of the match was ended up being a draw, and it was a real interesting draw because Rain is on the bottom, and Kanji and Rio both are on top of her. Neither one of their shoulders are to the mat, and they count a double pin, so they called it a draw. That actually all makes sense to me. There is a promo afterwards from Rio that she just tears it up. It was such a good promo. Girl, you get all the golf clap on that one because, wow, you brought some emotion into that. You made me feel what you were feeling. I'm impressed. This entire show, up and down. If I'm giving this a letter grade like Hound and I used to, I think this show's an A-. I think that it seemed like a great build-up show for something that didn't have their heavyweight title on it. I think if they had their heavyweight title on there as a match, their heavyweight title being defended, I think that moves it up to an A+. But the show didn't go too long, and every match felt like it was the exact amount of time that it should have been. They didn't go too long. They didn't go too short. They didn't try to fit everything that they had to do in. Everything just flowed very nicely, and the show was set up like a show. I really enjoyed this. And at the real quick, just to get back to the women's title match, after the match, this set up Rio versus Kanji on August 25th as well. I love the fact that these two are running this thing back. It's going to be a hell of a match. That's going to be a hell of a night. And I'm so excited. Thank you, Progress, for asking me to start reviewing your product because this is awesome. I'm so glad that I'm watching this now. And I love the opportunity to be able to do it, to be able to do this. I love wrestling. And honestly, I've always been a little bit more, I lean a little bit more towards UK and strong style wrestling than I do necessarily lucha libre, if I'm being honest. And this was such a good show. Folks, if you want to start watching Progress, I know they do shows you can watch them on Triller, and also by subscribing to their Progress on Demand app, which you can find on their website. I will have the link to their website below in our description as always. But I highly suggest that you go check this out. Between TNA and Progress, I think I have some promotions that I'm going to really enjoy watching for the next couple months. And as much as this hurts me to say it, it might not be WWE and AEW. I think it might be these two smaller promotions that are really putting work in to make themselves even bigger. Legion, thank you for sitting with me for this. I'm hoping that we can start getting someone else in here so that we can all start reviewing this and really putting some analysis on this, not just my thought process or my opinions. But in my opinion, if you're not watching Progress, you should be watching Progress. And guys, I love all of you. And as always, remember, tuck your chin when you bump.